The New York Mets filled their fourth outfielder spot by signing Tommy Pham to a one-year contract. Who is this Tommy Pham? Well, let's talk about it. And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watu-K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you enjoy what you're watching and you're brand new, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you're returning, well, welcome back. Please hit the like button. I appreciate all your support. So let's talk about Tommy Pham. Now, it seems that one of the biggest issues with the Mets in this offseason is that they really haven't changed the lineup all that much. You know, they re-signed Brandon Nimmo. They did an addition by subtraction by ridding themselves of James McCann. But when it gets right down to it, the Mets haven't changed a whole lot in this lineup that hit for a very high average last year. You know, they were pretty productive, but at the end of the day, they just, at this point, they don't have the depth of the Atlanta Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, the San Diego Padres, the LA Dodgers. You know, the lineup needs a boost of some kind. We thought we might have that with Carlos Correa. It didn't work out. He goes to Minnesota. So at this point, you're counting on these players coming back and doing exactly what they did, and you're counting on the kids as well, particularly Francisco Alvarez and Brett Baty. But I always felt that the Mets had a real hole in the outfield. You know, you've got Mark Hanna in left. You re-signed Brandon Nimmo to play center. You've got Starling Marte in right field. Very good starting outfield. But after that, what do you have? Who's your fourth outfielder? I mean, was it Khalil Lee? I mean, was it Abraham Almonte who they signed to a minor league deal? You know, do you put Jeff McNeil out in the outfield? And do you have to reshuffle your entire defense? You know, if one of your outfielders gets injured, if he needs a day off, what do you do? So to me, the Mets really needed a veteran outfielder. Now, I was looking at Adam Duvall. He's who I really wanted. I wanted somebody who could play some center field and hit the ball over the fence, because to me, the Mets need another slugger in this lineup. It didn't work out. He goes to Boston for 1 year, $7 million. Wanted Trey Mancini. He gets a 2-year deal with the Cubs. Andrew McCutchen would have been interesting. Wasn't sold on the idea, but he goes back home to Pittsburgh where he had his best years. So instead, the Mets pivot and they sign Tommy Pham to a 1-year, $6 million contract. Now, the contract contains $2 million of possible incentives. Now, Pham, let's talk about who he is. So he's going to turn 35 years old in March, which is a little strange to believe. It doesn't feel like he's been around all that long, but he split the 2022 season with Cincinnati and Boston, hit for a .236 combined batting average, .374 slugging, 17 home runs, and 8 stolen bases in over 600 plate appearances. Now, he had kind of a down season overall. But the one thing he did do is hit left-handed pitching really, really well, which is where the Mets are vulnerable. Do I need to say any more than the name Darren Ruff? Okay. But he was hitting last year .273 and had a .446 slugging line against left-handed pitching. He did strike out 27% of the time. That is a concern. As a matter of fact, his most impactful hit in 2022 was not with a bat, but it was with an open hand. So in late May, while with Cincinnati, Pham walks up to San Francisco Giants outfielder Jock Peterson, who was an absolute thorn in the Mets side last year. He goes up to him during pregame warmups and slaps him right across the face. Now, why would he do that? Well, Pham said he was angry over what he believed was cheating by Jock Peterson in a fantasy football league. So his quote afterwards, did Pham show remorse? No. He said Jock deserved to be slapped. That's a quote. Jock deserved to be slapped. Well, Pham was suspended by the league for 3 games and traded to Boston, his 5th team in 5 years. Okay? So let's talk about his stats, break him down a little bit, and look at what he's doing well, what he's not doing well. So he does hit the ball very hard. He's got a 92-mile-an-hour average exit velocity, which ranks in the 93rd percentile among all big league hitters. Really, really good. Plus his 48.2% hard hit rate ranks in the 89th percentile. So even if he doesn't bounce all the way back from kind of a down 2022 year, it is very likely, I think, he could be a useful platoon option. If his role is the fourth outfielder, the right-handed bat off the bench, DH against left-handers, that is a very important role for this team. Now, Pham, he was kind of a late bloomer. He broke out in 2017 with the St. Louis Cardinals. He hit .306 that year. He finished 11th in National League MVP voting. And over his 9-year career, he's averaged .259, .433 slugging. He's hit 114 home runs. As a matter of fact, from 2015 to 2019, he was very underrated. Hit .277, had a 130 WRC+. So WRC+ is win runs created. It basically averages all league players at that position at 100. So if you're 100, you're average. So with the 130 WRC+, he was 30% better than the average outfielder during that 5-year span. Plus, he had a 12.2 walk rate, had a 23% strikeout rate as well. Now, since that time, he's been kind of a below-average hitter, but he still has speed, he has arm strength, and he produces well against lefties, so he's still a useful player. Now, let's talk about the defense of one Tommy Pham. His arm strength ranks in the 74th percentile with all these metrics. Not going to get into them because who cares? And his average sprint speed is in the 66th percentile, so he can run pretty well. His glove is not that great all in all, but he is really limited to left field at this point. So my concern is, if he has to come in, he's not really able to play center field. It might be a situation where Mark Hanna or Starling Marte need to go to center field. So hopefully they would be okay with that, but you don't want to see Tommy Pham play center. You want him in left field, if anywhere. So he's played 91 innings in center field and just 7 in right field since 2018. He is outfield insurance, but he's really left field outfield insurance. And he serves as that right-handed complement to Daniel Vogelbach as the designated hitter, especially if the Mets are able to move on from Darren Ruff. Tommy Pham, to me, is a low-risk signing. 1 year, big deal. 1 year, $7 million, but potentially a high reward. I think he's somebody you could put in maybe the 6th or the 7th spot in the batting order, especially against lefties. And he has the potential to be a very useful player. Some people think that he's not the best guy in the world because of that fantasy football incident. Well, you know what? You've got Buck Showalter there. I trust Buck to be able to manage a clubhouse very, very well. So welcome to New York, Tommy Pham. And I want to mention one other thing. The Mets signed Tomas Nido, their backup catcher, to a 2-year, $3.7 million contract. So this takes care of his remaining arbitration years. $1.6 million in 2023, $2.1 million in 2024. I think it's a very good move. I think Nido is a very, very good backup catcher. You don't want to have him be the starter, but we've seen he can hit a little bit. He can play pretty good defense also, and I'm glad the Mets are keeping him in the fold for the next 2 years. So I want to hear from you. What do you think of the Mets signing Tommy Pham? Is there somebody else that you wanted them to bring in? And also, who do you want the Mets to go after next? Andrew Chafin, left-handed reliever. So we'll be back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.